Okay, mic is on.
The mic is on?
That was so not grateful. As of right now, yes. The music went away though, so give me a second, and the music is coming back.
That's okay. I will talk to people. How about that?
That works.
Hi, welcome to Qyjari's Curious Crafts. I'm your host, Dan Palmer. Behind the scenes over there is Drake.
Hi.
My son, producer, and Mike Turner runner. Today, we're going to make an OHGEE tree. This is an OHGEE tree.
Oh, yeah, this is kind of a bad screen to show
That's
the
okay.
thing.
It's
okay.
It's further.
It's right there.
It's further from me, and
it's
that's
right there in the corner. No, you don't stop, Mom.
Okay.
It's way over there.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
let's. Kayla can't. Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
Oh, people can't hear?
Remember,
let's do a test.
Just making sure. How is the sound, guys, in terms of mic audio? The music is gone still because for whatever reason, it's not wanting to pop up.
That's okay.
Oh, I know why. Music. Now let me turn it down.
How's the sound?
Let me go with the music. Okay, is the music too powerful? Is it good? Maddie said it's good. Maddie's here.
Yay, Maddie! Del Morey's here in the room. Yes.
Right when Maddie said it, Kayla also said hi, Merm. To it. And Jake is here. Hi, Jake.
Hi, Jake. Okay, so.
All right. Cool.
With all that being said, let's cut to the credits.
Right. Yes.
The opening credits, not the end.
Yeah. Good day. Simply smashing! Welcome to the stream!
And we're back.
Welcome back, everybody. I just dropped play on the floor.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah, it's fine. Oh, the maid will get it. Welcome back! I hope you enjoyed our new credits intro. Special thanks to my newest dragonkin, Darkseed Shakes, who composed Sir Mimsy's theme, which you heard during the credits, and Qyjari's theme, which you hear playing in the background when he remembers to turn it on.
It's on.
Yay!
It should be on.
You can find Darkseed Shake's work here on SoundCloud. Point right here.
Point right here. Yeah, it's right there on screen somewhere.
Okay. Okay, today we are going to make an OHGEE tree. And what's an OHGEE tree? Well, it's made up. It's completely homebrewed. Thanks to Drake, who was my DM at the time, created the short bow of the OHGEE, which came from, lore has it, the roots of an OHGEE tree. So of course that means I had to make an OHGEE tree. We're gonna make an OHGEE tree, let me hold it up here, from the stems of grapes.
That's stimulating.
Oh, stick to your day job, Drake. Okay, so this is my Feywild terrain. And as you can see, it was obviously lacking OHGEE trees. So that's why I'm building them. I've got one here, here. Here's my ranger, Ronan, who has an OHGEE, the short bow of the OHGEE. And so she is showing off the tree from which it came. Okay, so I'm done showing off the train.
Okay.
Hold on, let me get the OHGEE trees out there. Good catch.
Saved that. That was amazing.
That was amazing. Okay. Oh, in August I'll be making this. The bridge. Sneaky preview. I'll set that aside now. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. For this project, you'll need the following tools. A glue gun. And like I said last time, the Surebonder is my favorite. It has less little spider webs that come off of it. You'll also want clear glue sticks. Again, the clear just means that they don't show up on your project as often. They still kind of do, and I'll show you a tip later on how to hide those. Look at me not banging the table.
Yeah,
Aren't you
good
proud
job.
of me?
I'm proud of you.
No, that took some practice. You'll also need some Elmer's glue, all-purpose glue. You'll need a wire cutter, a sturdy cutting mat, some scissors, a box cutter or X-Acto knife, a Dremel with a small sanding bit. And this will come in handy later when we make the clay trunk, or the clay base for the trunk. I got this small sanding bit from one of my patrons. Thank you so much, Michael, who ordered it off my Amazon wish list. You'll also need paint brushes. You will need hemostat. This, yes, it is. It's a doctor, a piece of equipment for a doctor. It's basically fancy tweezers, but I find that they work really great. If you don't have them, you can use tweezers. Also, you'll need a very small screwdriver. It doesn't matter, Phillips head or a flat head, you'll need that. You'll also need to preheat your oven to 275 Fahrenheit or 130 Celsius. You'll need a baking sheet and some baking parchment. And that's to put the clay on once you're done with forming it to go in the oven. Okay, you'll also need the following materials. I hope everyone had their grapes, because you will need the stems of your grapes. You will also need some Sculpey clay. It comes in a package like this. I've already opened some and have it ready to go. You will need black, brown, green paint, and I say black and brown. Buy the paint or get paint that matches the stems of your grape stems. So I bought this color as well, because to me this, whatever this was, caramel color was a better match for my caramel. You'll also need small clusters of either silk or plastic floral, I don't know, plant. Get them at any craft store, Michael's, Joann's, Hobby Lobby. Hoblob's, my favorite store. Okay. I created... Who's laughing? What's laughing?
Well, just a quick catch-up. Jake says he likes your nail polish color.
Oh, thank you! I need to change it. Okay, I chose the trees. I'm sorry, I chose the clusters lavender to match the Feywild. Because to me, purple and lavenders were very Feywildish colors to use. If the Feywild in your world is made up of different colors, feel free to modify the floral clusters and any other color you want to on your OG tree, whatever matches your Feywild. Because our legend has it in our homebrew that they came out of the Feywild.
Yes.
Mainly.
Whatever
They can be found in our realm, but they're rare.
Okay.
They're rare. Okay, so step one, obviously, we want to eat a bunch of grapes. We've done that. Then we want to clean all the food particles off the end of the grapes. And the reason why is you don't want anything to become moldy, and that's why you put them in the hot soapy water. One of the clusters that I had was working with, I did not soak it in hot soapy water, and it got a little moldy and yucky, so I couldn't use that one. So these are mold free. I let them soak in the hot soapy water for about an hour, and then I let them dry overnight. And you can see the different color variations. This is from a separate grape stem, a grape bunch, I guess, than this one.
What is a cluster of grapes?
More than a plethora? I don't know. It's a good question.
It's a cluster grape.
It's a bunch of grapes. How about that?
Oh,
A
that works.
bunch, a cluster, a thingamabob. There you go. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to work on the we're going to work on the trunk first. These are they're prickly.
Maddie just said she's telling us to eat our veggies. Such a mom.
I know, it's a mom thing to do. Well, you know, I feel bad because Clover and Littlest are upstairs eating pizza rolls for dinner.
True, of course. Real Tranquil just said fruit.
Fruit.
Shut up.
Okay. All right. So, like I said, for the trunk, you want to preheat your oven to 275. If you're following along, you might want to do that now. Takes a little while. Or 130 degrees Celsius for those who follow the Celsius scale. You're going to break off a chunk of your Sculpey, and it'll feel like it's very dry, and you can see it kind of crumbles as you work with it, but the more you knead it...
Wait.
I need it! It's kneading. What happened?
Someone just subscribed.
Awesome!
That is
Thank
awesome,
you!
yes.
Thank you so much!
Al Cunningham.
That's wonderful, but did they get the greeting? They didn't get the greeting.
It looked like the zombie running.
That's not good.
I know.
They need Sir Mimsy to greet them.
They need Sir Mimsy, yeah. I don't know,
We need to
I'll
fix,
look into
we
it.
need to fix
Carry
that.
on.
Thank you. Okay. So, there's Sir Mimsy.
Thank you, Jake, for the follow.
Yes, thank you, Jake. It's the nail polish, isn't it?
Probably.
Okay, so I've kneaded this clay with my fingers, and I don't know, I need it about the size of a large marble. What is the large marble called? The big ones? They're called something.
Large
Chat-
marbles?
Chat? No. What's it called? Someone in chat will know it. And you'll form a cylinder with one end of it. Like, can you see this okay on the camera?
Oh, I'm not looking at OBS one.
Oh, you're not any help at all then, are you?
No.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
so I've created a cylinder, and I'm going to use my screwdriver to poke not all the way through, just poke a hole in it. So now I've got, that's where the trunk's going to go. Now, the trunk I'm going to use for the grace. Why you keep laughing at me?
I'm sorry, the sub was to your YouTube channel.
Oh, that's
Apparently there's
awesome!
notifications for YouTube
I gotta change that then.
subscriptions, yeah.
I gotta change that.
I
Thank
might
you.
disable it for the moment.
That's fine.
unless
We
you
don't need
want me to.
zombies. We need Sir Mimsy.
Need Sir Mimsy. I will see if
Okay,
I
so the width of the branch I'm going to use for the OG tree, the trunk rather, is right here, and it's going to fit in there. Now it's not going to. I don't want to use it. This is very delicate. Even it's prickly, but it's very delicate. Little bits have been falling off, so I'm trying to be very careful handling it. And I want to make this hole big enough for this stem, but don't worry if it's not, because that's where that Dremel is going to come in later once it's hardened, baked and hardened, and then we can put it in there. So this is the tricky part. Once you get that cylinder done, you can take off a chunk of the excess. You can add stuff later, more clay later to it if you need it. But I'm going to take and I'm going to separate the base of this into about 5 different roots. Now you can use 4 to 5. I found that when I made it with 4, the tree wasn't as stable. I found that 5 was a little more stable. Let's see if I can let me put this down for a minute and show you what I'm talking about. This I made with 4 roots. You see that okay?
Yeah,
And it stands up fine.
it looks wormy.
No, it's the roots. And then the other 2 I made with, oopsie, some glue on there. The other 2 I made with the 5, and it's just more stable. Now I'm also going to make it so that the base stretches out to be about an inch to fit into a typical D&D grid. Now, once I've got the 5, looks like a star. Once I got the 5 little roots coming out there, I'm just gonna work with them with my fingers, and I'm gonna kind of twist them to make them look gnarled. And I'll push a little bit into the trunk to make that part more stable. Now, when you bake your Sculpey clay, it needs to be a 1/4 inch thick or less to bake at the time it gives on the instructions. If you make it thicker, it does take longer to bake. You really don't need it that thick. It does bake very firmly, and it won't be soft anymore. Okay, so that's kind of what I've got going here. You can make it as bumpy as you want. You can make some of the roots kind of pop out of the ground, maybe.
Question courtesy of Real Tranquil.
What's that?
What if I did 6 roots?
Ooh, you could do 6. I will let you.
6 is fine.
6 is fine. Okay. So, yes, you could do 6. Alright, so that's what I've got so far. And you know what? I'm looking at this trunk, and it looks a little thick from the ones I've made in the past. So I'm actually going to pull part of that off and start at the top again. I didn't like the way that looked. I'm going to pull it off, make it thin. There we go. That's a little better. And this is probably the hardest part of this whole tree, is figuring out exactly how you want the trunk to look. Now, the other thing I didn't do with the trunk of or roots rather, of the OG trees that I've made to show you is I didn't add some little swirlies to it. Let me just put that down there. You can see it kind of fits into that 1-inch square. Is that a good place right there for that?
I think so.
So it's about a 5 feet by 5 feet area that it takes up. I'm going to take a little piece of the clay, and I'm going to, you know how you used to play with Play-Doh when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Make little snakes?
Yeah, the easiest thing to make.
The easiest thing to make when you're, yeah. Well, it's the easiest thing here too. So I'm just going to make, and it's going to look like a little vine. And I'm just going to kind of maybe whip it around the side of it. Give it some dimension there. Like that. Here and there. Again, this is hard to do upside down. That's my thing. I have this thing about upside down. Let's get just one more.
Don't worry, I made so many Play-Doh snakes.
Everyone has that one down pat. I would say that this project is rated easy if you've worked with Play-Doh snakes before, and maybe a little more intermediate if you haven't ever worked with Play-Doh. By the way, I know people eat Play-Doh. What?
Sorry, Maddie. She did all caps and it deleted her message.
Oh, that's not good. Don't do all caps.
She said, I'm an artist.
She is an artist. She is the one who made Sir Mimsy. We love Sir Mimsy. Okay, so I have put some little vines at the base of my root system here in the trunk. And again, as you're working with it, you want to make sure that everything is attached. It sets evenly on the ground, because once it hardens, you can't change it. Just let it start again. All right, so there's our root system and the top part of the trunk. Okay.
Real Tranquil asked, could you also wrap it with that small wire vine afterwards too?
You know what? I don't know how that affects the baking.
Oh, fair. That
would be something that trial and error. I would say don't do it in Mom's oven.
Yeah, right.
But if it's your own oven, go for it. Also, if you are a miner, I just realized that my friend Matt, who we follow each other, other Matt on Twitter, he has done some videos also, and he does put a disclaimer at the beginning saying, some of these tools are not meant for
that's
kids to
probably
play with. So
smart
here's a
to say.
public service announcement to get your parents' permission to work with any of some of these tools are very, very sharp. The next one I do, which is the dwarf's hut, is working with a lot of outside wood.
Oh, yeah,
and I use my my X-Acto knife quite a bit, or my box cutter. Okay, so I've kind of played with this enough to where I think I'm happy with it, and I am going to get ready to put it in the oven. The parchment paper goes on the cookie sheet, like so. And always use a piece of parchment paper, because otherwise you'll ruin Mom's cookie sheet, and that would be bad. Mom's not in the chat right now, but she would
totally
agree with me.
speak up on that.
Okay, so then what you want to do is you want to move the clay. There we go. Got my oven. And you want to place the root and the trunk into the oven very carefully. And then you will set your timer for 15 minutes. Now, if it's thicker than 1/4 of an inch, you'll want to set it for a little bit more. So I'll do probably 17 minutes on this one. And then we wait. It's done! Ta-da! I pulled the wrong one out. That bit would have been funnier if it had worked. Okay, pulled the wrong one out. This one's done. It looks just like the one I made, right? All right, don't hire me for a comedy show, because that's not going to ever work.
Pretty funny. I like it.
Okay.
You've got real tranquil props to the props, like Pee-wee's Playhouse and Maddie crying, laughing. Every song is I'm laughing so hard.
That would have worked if I put the right one out. I need wine or something. I don't know. Okay, so let me just skip that part of the script.
Right.
Woohoo! It's done. I did that
Yay!
part already. Let me just fast forward. Okay, make sure you use oven mitts to remove from the oven. If you use a real oven. If you don't use a real oven, then you don't really need oven mitts. Okay, so you do want to allow it to cool completely before the next step. Fortunately, mine is already cool because of that previous bit. I already had it baked and ready to go for you to save us 17 minutes of twiddling our thumbs. Okay, now assembling the tree. What?
Thanks.
Thanks. Boring. Okay, assembling the tree. Get all your great stems out here. And have your glue gun turned on. This is where I'm gonna need my readers because I'm old. Okay, so I'm going to use, like I said, this one right here, and I'm going to use my wire cutters to trim off that part of the stem right there. And then I can just look at it and decide how many branches I want, how tall I want it. The trees that I made in the previous batch were about 4 inches tall, 3 to 4 inches tall. So 15 to 20 feet in D&D world. D&D land. So I don't really want them taller than that. Maybe a couple, but in this case I'm going to trim this one off here. And a couple other places. And don't worry, we're going to fill it in. It's not going to be this barren. We're going to fill it in with some of these branches that we've clipped off, or some of the ones from the other stem. So we're going to just fill it in with our glue gun. Okay, so I've cut this one from an extra stem, and I think I'm just going to put this right here. I think. Yeah, that's good. Alright, so I'm going to just take my glue gun. Oops, it's got some schmutz on it. Am I allowed to say schmutz?
Yes.
Is that allowed?
I don't think it's a swear word. If it is, well,
Okay.
you're in a lot of trouble, Missy.
I guess so. Okay, so that goes there. And the glue gun doesn't really dry that fast. It's actually balancing on itself here. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Don't say uh-oh.
Oh, I said oh, but with a stutter.
Oh.
Schmitz.
You're
Does that
looking at
glue
it?
gun have an extra fine point?
This is a small tipped glue gun. Again, Sure Bonder, my favorite. This is a small tipped one. Yes, this is a mini one. I've never used in all my crafting. Well, I say never used. I did long years ago, probably when Drake was 2, so eons ago. But I've always used the very thin ones. It just gives you a finer tip and more precision. Okay, so that's on that side, and I'm gonna actually fill this one out a little bit more. I think I'm gonna add this little branch right there. Okay, you can see the glue, the hot glue on this. It's gonna hold it better, especially for the purpose of this stream. But also, I'm gonna show you how to hide that later. So don't worry about that for now. We're just gonna set that in there. And just hold it for a second. You can blow on it. Get it to set. I always just... There we go. Kind of wrap it around there. Okay, so that is the tree that I have come up with. That branch is not quite staying, but... Oh well. If it falls off, I'll just glue it back on. Okay, so that is... I've come up with now my OHGEE tree. Or without its famous... Ah, it's falling apart. Without its famous moss and lavender clusters, it's just a tree. So if you don't want to make an OHGEE tree, you can just make a dead-looking winter tree, I guess.
That works.
It's just like a little comment from the peanut gallery over there. Okay, so now I'm going to see if it fits into this trunk that we just made. Just made it.
So here's
just popped out of the oven.
Yeah, just out of the oven, fresh.
It's not going to fit because it's too big. Oh, it's too big. I guess I have to use my Dremel. Oh, too bad. I hate using my Dremel. I love using my Dremel. Okay, it just needs to be on a low setting for this. You're just going to go in and drill out the inside of that. And it should fit. Okay. If it doesn't, then we'll try it again. Yeah. There we go. And there we go. So I'm gonna take it back out again so I can put the glue in. Okay, just fill that with glue. Push this back in. I'm trying to push down on the strongest branches so I don't snap off the little ones, especially the ones I just glued in. That would be bad. Okay, so now you can see here that my bit of clay in the trunk is much bigger than the trunk of the tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use hot glue, like I did in last week's or last 2 weeks project making the shambling mound where I made the wire thicker. I'm going to use the hot glue to make the trunk thicker to kind of measure up to the size of the base. Now this is where you get daring, because that's what crafters do. Yeah, woo.
Daredevil.
Yeah. I'm going to let that dry a little bit. Oop, let me get the other side. And before it dries completely, I'm gonna run my fingers along it and stretch it out to kind of smooth it to make sure that it blends.
Isn't it hot?
It's very hot, but I haven't done it yet. But, you know, mom hands. Okay.
Bacon fingers.
Bacon fingers, that's it. Okay, so I'm just gonna blend it. And it is hot.
It's a blow on it.
Yeah. Okay. But this makes it blend in with the trunk and the base there. Gives it a little more body. You know, if you were the real Tranquil, you would just put some cotton on there to blend it.
Oh yeah. Yep.
That's his signature move.
Probably just put it in quotations. Just burning away my fingerprints, no big deal.
Now you can commit all those crimes I wanted to commit.
Hangry dwarf. Hi, I just got home. We'll be crafting train while you work too.
Yay!
This is Brandywine House.
Hi! Welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so that's gonna dry. My fingers are gonna recover. Don't worry, the real tranquil. I did buy band-aids for when you help me next time. Okay, so now we're gonna paint. Before you paint the base, though, we're gonna paint the what I call the cones. The trees I did prior had more. They stood out as cones more. I don't know if you can see that. Right here, I've put some green, some lime green. I'm calling that moss on my OG trees. They don't create leaves per se, more like this moss. And maybe you could make your OG tree have tons of moss or just a little bit. Maybe it's between seasons and it hasn't gotten a lot. Now, I've really done it to myself this time by giving myself all these branches on which to paint the green, but that's okay. We have an hour, right?
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm not going to paint them all.
Starting about 30 minutes ago.
Okay, so I'm gonna get I've chose lime green, like I said, from my moss. You can choose any color you'd like, whatever matches your Feywild or wherever you plan to put these trees. And I'm not worried about making dots or making specific shapes. I'm just gonna get my brush wet here. I'm just gonna take the tip and just on the underside of each of these cones make some dots. Is that coming in okay?
Well, I've got a smaller version of the screen here.
Everyone see that okay? Kind of what I'm doing?
Hangry Dwarf said that he uses dryer lint instead of cotton.
Oh yeah, that works.
Does the OG tree lore come from buying the bundle or Patreon thingy?
Actually, because my character, who I still run in a campaign or two, has the first weapon made out of the roots of an OG tree. I don't know the complete lore. That is up to, and he's in the chat room, the real tranquil to come up with what this weapon's properties will reveal once Ronan, my ranger, gets to the right level. But becoming a patron at the $5 level, you will get a PDF, which is several pages long. I think it's 7 or 8 pages long, of complete full-color instructions on how to build one of these on your own. And in fact, you'll get everything I make during the month in which you subscribe, or pledge rather. If you subscribe to this channel as well, you get that PDF. And it's a pretty intense, not intense, but thorough. I need my thesaurus in front of me. Instructional guide for all these little minis that I've been making. Okay, so I'm not going to do all of them because it would take a while. There's several little cones on this OG tree, but I am just going to put, to show you on these little cones, this bright green. Can you kind of see? It would take a while to sit here and do all of them, but that would be, I'll go back and do it later when there's more time, because if you subscribe, or rather pledge at the highest level of my Patreon, you get one of these. Or the other, the Shambling Mound, if you prefer. It's your choice. Whichever one you'd rather.
That, yeah.
Whichever one you'd rather have for your collection. And that's at the $25 pledge. At the $10 pledge, you're entered into a drawing to win one. So even at 10, you could still get one if you win the drawing. Okay, so I'm gonna stop there. because I could go on and just paint all of them. But I want to try, you saw me circling it in my hand like this, trying to just get the underside of each one from every different angle, so you can see it from all parts of the game table.
Really quick.
Yes.
Angry Dwarf missed the beginning. He wants to know what the base was made out of.
Sculpey. Oven baked clay. I keep saying oven.
Down a tiny bit. There you go. It would glare the light.
I keep saying oven baked clay. Blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 blah.
And these videos are all going to be posted on YouTube. Look for it tomorrow or the next day. Depends on how many chores I have to do when I'm finished with this. Okay, so now we're going to paint the base. And the base is, like I said, I chose complementary colors to the grape stems that I had purchased. And I'm going to use this as the base, or that I saved. I chose this classic caramel as the base, and then I'm going to, here's the favorite thing of all crafters, dry brush this brown over the top. Now my previous one, let me show you that one, I used a darker brown, obviously you can see that, and I dry brushed it with some black, and that was just to coordinate with the rest of the branches. And you can see how that it blended right in with the hot glue. Okay, so let's get our caramel out. Smooch. And I get these apple barrel. They're just Walmart, and you can get multi-surface, gloss. It really doesn't matter. I haven't found any difference. I know people have definite choices when it comes to minis and other projects, but I found that they really don't matter for what I'm working on. I'll let you know if I ever come across one that it matters, whether you get matte or multi-surface or gloss. Okay, so I'm just going to paint all of these. What I might do with the vines after I paint this part is highlight them maybe a third color. I've got black here. Maybe I'll give them black vines at the bottom or something. Or I don't know, maybe green. Maybe that moss comes in a green stripe at the bottom there. That's creative license, and I just renewed mine, so we're good. Ooh, I just splattered my iPad. Oops. That'll come off.
Make sure you get the, what is it, non-toxic?
Yeah. Don't get the kind that burns through your iPad screen.
Yeah. Yeah, Sculpey was the stuff that was used.
Yeah, it's an oven-baked clay.
Little Tranquil is throwing out that Sculpey at Walmart's about 50 cents, and everywhere else is around $2.
Oh, that's for the paint.
Oh, for the paint.
Yeah,
okay.
Acrylic. The base acrylic ones, I believe, are the 50-cent ones. When you get into gloss and the multi-surface, they're 87 cents, or I mean, very
who has
inexpensive.
that?
I know, right? Well, you never know. I mean, we could go out and maybe crush berries or something to get this color, but I went to Walmart. Okay, so I painted that. I'm gonna let it dry, just so that when I add the brown to it, it gives it more. It doesn't blend and become a whole different color. So I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to snip the branches of my clusters. And you can just use scissors, or if it's a heavy duty thing, you can use your wire cutters. Oop, I put that down heavily.
Oh no.
Did it make the microphone jiggle?
I don't know.
Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to clip these probably in this size. I'll put it up here so you can see the size. But again, if your tree is mid-season, maybe they're just starting to come out and you'll want to make them smaller, or maybe it's at the end of the season and they're larger, or anything you want.
Or it's the Feywild, and who knows what season
And who
it
knows
is.
what season, and who knows if they're toxic.
True.
I mean, I could be dying here.
There could be different kinds of OG trees.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe there's undiscovered ones that we
Yeah.
haven't come across. Well, we haven't been to the Feywild yet. Of course, we now just gave the Real Tranquil some ideas.
Yep.
Not like I have a terrain built for it.
Wait, you have a terrain built for it? Wait, there's a website?
That joke just does not stop being funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need about, what did I say? You know what?
But he just said, yeah, thanks, and he goes,
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because we've got some players. I'm actually going to take 1 second and clean the paint off my iPad. Because I don't want that to dry. Okay. Phew. Okay, that's taken care of. Okay. Now, I made about, I don't know, depends on the size of the tree. I think for this one, I'm going to need probably a dozen and a half, 2 dozen of these little snippets. I won't bore you and cut all of them out while we're in the stream here, but I know, it's so boring. I'll do a few. Plus I want to show you hiding that hot glue, so I'm going to cut a big piece here because that's what's going to do it. Alright, now here's the fun part. You get some all-purpose glue, and the reason why I'm not using a glue gun at this is because it is tinier pieces, and the hot glue will show in your project with these tiny pieces. So I'm going to use regular, if I can get it out of the container, all-purpose glue like Elmer's craft glue, or just school glue works too. I put a dab of it in my, is that in the shot?
Yeah.
Okay, I put it into my paint tray. It peels right out when you're done. So I can use it to dip the clusters in. Alright, so I'm going to use my hemostat. This is where they come in handy. And like I said, if you don't have them, you can use tweezers. Or you can use your hands if you think you can do that with your hands, but my fingers are fat and I don't want to wrestle with it. So I'm going to dip that in the glue, and I'm going to put this first on the area that I put the hot glue. So it kind of covers it. So we're now disguising that area. Now this isn't a glue gun seal, so I'm going to want to do this all over, but I want to turn it slowly so you don't drop off.
Right.
You're going to need time to set, yeah.
Shoot off.
Yeah. So these just go anywhere on your OG tree.
I can't speak with trees. You touch the tree and die instantly. What? It was toxic. Smiley face. Goodness gracious, a toxic tree that kills you instantly. That's rough.
Everyone needs to stop giving the Real Tranquil ideas. He's going to be here in a couple weeks, DMing for me for an entire weekend, and I really want Ronan to live.
What's going to happen?
I'm excited about that game because I DM so much. I am so looking forward to playing.
What level did we get to in his game?
We're 7.
We're 7 now?
But he did say that we need to be prepared for 8. Yeah.
Ooh.
I know, which means all of our encounters will be deadly.
Spooky tree.
Okay, so you can see I'm just putting these in on the where the branches meet. I'm calling them branches now. Obviously, they're the grapevine stems where the grapes come off, but at this point, it's a tree. So now they're stems. So I'm just putting them in the little nooks, and that's holding them in for now. I wouldn't want to shake this or turn it. Whoop! Or drop it. But once those dry, then I can turn it a little bit and start placing some more in the other areas. Let's see. Oh, here's one. That's a good spot for it. I almost took that in the paint. Okay. Alright, so that's basically what you would do with the clusters. And I'm going to go back. Someone's going to win this if they want it. And I'm going to go back and add more green to it. And I'm going to add more of the clusters to it. I'm also going to right now put it's not quite dry, but I'm going to go ahead and add the darker brown to give it that dry brush look to blend it. Because right now it's all one color. And we want that to be, we want that to blend in. So I've chosen this darker brown because it kind of matches this here. And if you don't know how to do a dry brush technique, it's very simple. Just use a dry brush and dab some paint on it that you want to use, and then dab most of it off. Crazy, but that's what you do. And then you go back over your project by just dabbing on the color.
I just quoted you and changed it up. I wouldn't want to shake this or turn it. Drops it.
Drops it, yeah.
The supportive daughter.
I know. Why did I ask her into the stream, right? Love you, Maddie.
I could just picture her throwing her hands up in the air.
Yeah.
Like, well, what do I do then?
Okay, so I'm just gonna dry, and it's not completely dry, this base, so it's not gonna have the same blending effect that I really wanted, but I will go back and redo that. But you can see right there, it's kind of blending into that trunk.
Uh-huh.
So see, it's kind of blending in with that trunk, so that's okay. And then you know what? I think I am gonna make the ivy. Let's see if my bad eyes can do this. That vine. Let's see if I can just touch it up with a little hint of a green on there.
Real Tranquil wants you to dab while you dab.
I'm not gonna dab.
Dabs.
My other two will roll their eyes at me.
I mean, I would too, to be fair. I'm sorry, I think dabbing is dumb.
Don't offend my dabbing base, Drake.
I mean, unless it's with paint, then that's a different story.
Oh, alright.
That's a different kind of dab.
Okay, this looks kind of cool. I like the green. I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna make it better when it's right side up and I can see better, but I'm gonna keep that. I like the way that that adds to the base of it. Kind of brings the green from the base, the top to the base. I like the way that kind of looks. And I'm gonna add some more green to the branches, and I'm gonna add some more clusters, and definitely do some dry brushing on that base, because with it not dry enough, it didn't dry brush the way I like it. So, and with that, well, with my additions that I'll do later, your tree is done. Or if you're following along and it's still baking.
Right, yeah, it's still baking.
You might want to give it a few more minutes. Just rewind. You see my age. You want to rewind the video?
It'll be on YouTube.
Yeah, it'll be on YouTube, and you can follow along there and pause it where you need to. All right, with that, your stream is done. Any other questions from chat?
Let's give a second for any additional questions. I do have one thing. Real Tranquility says, it was at this point I thought she could use plastic vines. I think it was right before you ended.
Okay.
I guess that would just add some texture,
anything.
But, you know, a different element to it.
The other thing that would work is, and I'll just set this right here and go get it, because I think he brings up a good point, and this is using other things since I already have it, is...
Maybe you're further away.
Yeah. My shambling mound, this Spanish moss, that would work too around the base of the tree. Let me just steal some.
I can see that.
I'm gonna steal some from my shambling mound.
Hangry Dwarf said, so there's no problem baking the grapevines at 275?
No, that you bake the base before you attach it to the tree. Otherwise,
okay.
I don't know what would happen.
Gotcha. Okay. And Real Tranquil says,
here's
do all the grape stuff while waiting for the oven.
Yes.
Waiting for the base to dry, that is.
Yeah. Here's the one I made earlier, but I had one already baked that I shared with the room in a funny little bit, or not so funny little bit. But you could use this Spanish moss if you wanted to add, maybe to make it look viney on there too.
Yeah, that would look cool.
That would work too. Okay, so that's it for tonight. Believe it or not, we're done a little quicker than an hour. Yeah. This is a fun project. Anyone have any questions about the OHGEE tree?
Yes. Any questions at all?
Yes, there is more lore in the PDF if you're a patron.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, there is more lore in the PDF. We have like about 10 more minutes before we have to end it.
Yeah.
But we can kind of hang out for a minute if anyone's got more questions. I've torched some projects baking them.
I can keep working on this a little bit too. I can add some more glue since I've got glue here.
You keep doing your dabs.
My dabs.
Is this the portion on sprockets when you dance?
Yeah. Sprockets. Gosh, people in the stream are old.
Well, well, all of them.
I could say that because I'm old.
I'm technically on the stream too.
Okay, there we go. I'll add it there. Add some more. Let me just tell you though, before we finish, my next stream will be on July 10th, and I have no idea what's being made that day. It was going to be a Skull Lord, still might be, but I will have a special guest.
Oh, yeah.
And that is, he's in the chat room now, the Real Tranquil on Twitter, Real Tranquility here on Twitch. And he's going to be making something that I think he's going to try to kill us with the weekend before. That's why I can't know what it is. It's a surprise. It's a surprise death.
Ooh, surprise death.
I don't know how else to describe it. So whatever he's going to throw at us the weekend before that, he will have for us to put together all the materials and all the instructions on the 10th at 7 o'clock Eastern.
Jake says, this is so cool, I'll definitely be tuning in regularly.
Awesome! Thanks, Jake!
Lamborghini says, amazing, can't wait to see you this weekend.
Thank you, sweetie.
The Real Tranquil, oh, you will know it well.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's stuck to my hemostat. Okay, there we go. Alright, and any other questions, or...?
Yeah, any more questions?
Oh,
Any
tell me what you
comments?
thought. Tell me what everyone thought of the credits.
Oh,
The music
yeah.
and Sir Mimsy and everything.
Is there room for 4 hands in that view? We'll make...
Oh yeah, don't worry. We'll
make room.
figure some. We'll put the camera back some.
Yeah, we'll figure that bit out. Is this going to be Cthulhu again? And who's your helper, dude? I assume he's referring to me.
That is my who asked?
Hangry Dwarf, sorry.
Oh, okay. That is Harris Drake. He's on. That's how you find him on Twitter. He's also my son.
Hi.
He is my helper dude.
I am the helper, dude.
He let me borrow his streaming stuff until I can get some of my own.
Hi.
Hi.
Maddie quoted me.
Del Mori, who's in the chat room, who created Sir Mimsy for me, is my daughter. This is a family affair,
This
apparently.
is a family event, yes.
Yeah.
Family business.
The Real Tranquil is my brother. The Lamborghini in the chat is my niece. So, yeah. Thanks, family. Thanks for tuning in, fam. Alright, so I've added more, and I definitely like it with more of the purple clusters on there. I think it fills it out. It's much nicer. While we're waiting, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the terrain that I built. And we can see exactly how it looks with the with this new OG tree on it. Maybe not the shambling mound. Okay. Where'd you put it, Drake?
Right there. I'm very glad I could help you with that.
You're welcome. I mean, thank you. Okay. So I made this last year. For fun. And it was a very ambitious project. How's that? Is that on there?
Yes. You can move it
It's
slightly that way.
move it which way?
Tiny bit that way.
That way. All right.
Yeah.
The bridge goes here.
Oh, that's right. They called the river the Cookie Dough River.
The cookie dough. Yes, yes, it does look like cookie dough. That's actually clear glue, and this was a trial. This is my first trial with using clear glue, not the typical white Elmer's all-purpose glue, but clear. It's Elmer's, but it's clear glue, to use as a water effect, and it worked okay. But as you can see, it's soaked in. This was much deeper, so over time it is soaked in, and underneath. I put this already on there. I'll take it off and show you underneath. Of course, I've lit it. It's got lights underneath.
Oh, yeah.
Is that
shows some of it,
Some of it? Okay. It's got lights underneath, but it's also reinforced with some square dowels. and but it's still warped a little bit. So I'm still experimenting with water effect terrain. I know a lot of people use. The other Matt uses it. Who? The terrain tutor. A bunch of them use the pourable acrylic. I haven't gotten into that yet. Still nervous about experimenting with that on my limited budget.
Yeah.
Which my husband always jokes, you don't have a budget. Don't spend any money on this stuff. I'm kidding. He's my biggest supporter. Oh, my new OHGEE tree, where'd it go?
Did you like crush it?
Oh, here it is. No, I did. It's right here. It's right here. There.
Hangry Dwarf says that is so awesome, referring to your terrain. And he also says I use polyurethane.
Okay.
If I'm saying that right.
Yeah,
I
that's
assume
right.
for the river.
Yeah,
Water
I'll
effects.
try anything. That would work as well. I mean, I like the effect of it. It's got that sparkly river effect, but I would like it to be a little deeper.
Yeah, I can see that.
Part of it is reinforcing. Some of it is it's soaking into the sand and the greenery that I have here. So that probably was part of the effect. But I like the way these trees complement what I call my truffula trees.
The Lorax trees.
The Lorax trees. In my Feywild, and
Careful, don't go too close to those trees. You might catch the Lorax.
Jamie will come up with a Lorax creature now. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So anyway, that's it. If you have any questions, you can join my Discord. I'm not going to be on there right away because I haven't had dinner yet. But if you post a question on Discord, I do go there frequently, and I will get back to you eventually. I also want to thank my amazing Dragonkin family. All of you Patreon subscribers and all of you who've tuned in to watch. I really appreciate the support. This is a lot of fun for me, and I do this for fun and to bring all this crafting joy to the D&D community. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll say goodnight.
Bye, guys. Gotta mute the mic. Where's the button?